What's going on, you guys? It's your boy 3 Stacks in this thing, baby, representing Team Kings of Games, yo. And today I'm coming at you guys with Ultra Athletes UAs. Now this deck is really fun. Honestly, it's very cool, and it has a pseudo kind of summoning mechanic. You know, it's not necessarily listed as a summoning mechanic like Fusion, Ritual, XYZ, etc. But the way they summon themselves out is really, really cool, and it's kind of what set this deck apart from a lot of decks because the way it plays is so unique. It does have the ability to put out negates, and it also is very capable of grinding and breaking boards. It's adequate as a going first deck, but it has a lot more value going second because some of its own archetype specific cards can easily pick boards apart, and its main deck monsters are very, very powerful. Now, there are certain cards that I'm not playing that I still would play. Honestly, it would just be like Mystic Minds and like Demise of the Land if I had to go first, but I don't have any Mystic Minds, unfortunately. When I pick up 3, I would definitely be playing like probably 2 in like a set rotation because this deck has a field spell. But other than that, I'm pretty satisfied with the rest of the main deck. It's very, very fun, like I said, and it can catch people off guard. And it's not like it's a bad deck, you know. Just because people don't play decks doesn't mean it's bad. It's just people just are always gonna do what they see everybody else doing. Not always, but it's just a vast majority of Yu-Gi-Oh players, just a community. So decks like this really do get written off as not playable or bulk or trade fodder or just trash, but it's really good. You just gotta take the time to play it, and it'll reward you. So I'm gonna go ahead and get into the main deck. I'm not sure if this is gonna get like love reviews, but this is kind of like a rogue deck channel that happens to show meta occasionally. But my heart is always with rogue decks. So first off, we played 3 copies of UA Midfielder. I'm gonna go ahead. I might as well just put the Rhoda there because this card is just very important. So you're playing 4 copies of Midfielder. You can access it off of Signing Deal too. But this card is just very important just for the simple fact that it is normal summonable and it's not tribute summonable. That it's not tribute summon. So because it's normal summonable, it's just the most important UA. Its effect is very different from the other ones because it has a multi-purpose. It's not only able to summon itself out from the hand, but it also can target another UA and then basically bounce it in special one with a different name from the hand. So it's another way where you can get multiple monsters on board instead of just swapping out the same basically slot where you're going one bounce special another. And that's how the UAs work if you didn't know. Basically they special summon themselves from hand by returning a UA you control to the hand. So it's like you keep your follow-ups because whatever monster you want, you trade it out with something different, and that's there in your hand for your following play. And Midfielder is beautiful because their field spell UA Stadium, which is very, very important. It has an ability where when you normal summon a UA, you get to add a UA monster from your deck to your hand. That's very, very powerful. And this is the normal summon, so this is how you're going to be triggering it and how you're going to be basically adding resources to your hand so that you're not basically trying to break a board and you don't have a hand left if you can't OTK your opponent. That's one of the worst feelings ever playing a going second deck is when you are able to break a board but you can't kill them and you're like, I don't have any follow-ups. So it can either lead into a grind game or you just get blown out on the next turn. But when you're not able to end on a follow-up or have enough resources in hand, you can easily just lose. Like you can just easily get out-resourced by other decks because that's just really important. It's not just the resource management, but just calculated risks when you're going second, trying to navigate through certain boards, playing through interruptions. You don't want to get risky and kind of like commit too much just to bait. If you know you can take care of the biggest threats and make sure your opponent can't OTK you, then you just do that. And that's how you want to play UAs. You just don't want to be like a dinosaur player where you're just trying to go for the OTK right away because it might not happen. So he's the most important, like I said. And I'm continuing with the UAs. I played 3 Perfect Ace. This is your turn 1 play. He is an Omni Negate, but it's only during your opponent's turn. And I think that is what really kind of makes him not so great going second, but honestly, the card is exceptional, and he's the card you want to end on. So like I said, remember I was saying you're able to break boards with this deck, but sometimes you just can't OTK. So this is one of the cards you want to end on, so when you pass, you have a perfect ace. Now, it's not hard once per turn, so when you have your midfielder combo, you can actually use midfielder. When you have like midfielder or perfect ace, you can use, for example, midfielder, bounce him out. Or for example, you can bounce him to summon a perfect ace, or let's just say you have midfielder or dunker. You can basically use midfielder to target the dunker, swap it out with perfect ace with his monster effect, then swap him out with the perfect ace from your hand so you can end on 2 Omni Negates. And that can be pretty problematic considering your opponent committed so much to make their board and they're trying to play catch up while playing through negates. So you can really slow them down. It's one of the best 3-ofs and it just really, really solves problems. Continuing, we played 3 copies of Dreadnought Dunker. This and Perfect Ace, I feel, are just like hand in hand, the sword and the shield. He's the attacker. This is the defender. Dreadnought Dunker. Basically, I'll go ahead and read you his effect. It's pretty nice. He does let you pop cards too when you get there, but basically, if he attacks a defense, he does piercing, and when he inflicts battle damage to your opponent, you can target a card on the field and destroy it. So this card is your best spot removal, hand in hand, just for the UA mechanic. And also, when you have him equipped, and this is one of the cheesiest ways you can really finish people off, you have him equipped with Power Jersey. Depending on the statistics of the monsters you're attacking into, you can actually just OTK your opponent with the Power Jersey and Dunker. It's a really cool interaction. He gets like a boost. He does double damage. You just get to pop cards. You get to attack again. It's just really, really cool. So this is your aggressor. This is the main reason why I chose not to play Evenly Matched in the deck, because the battle phase is another alternative route to break boards with this deck. When you sacrifice your battle phase, even though Evenly is incredible, you just lose so much with the UAs that some of the cards are just not worth playing, and that's not fun to me. So you could play Evenly, but I would play Mystic Mine before I played Evenly, because this deck already has a really, really good matchup against back rows, and I feel that Mystic Mine is better against combo, whereas Evenly is more like for entire established boards of back rows and things of that nature. But it's up to you. I could play Evenly if I wanted to, but like I said, I just really like using the battle phase, because when you can go for the game and you can get the OTK, you can just do it with ease. We have 2 copies of Blockbacker. Now I'll read you guys Blockbacker's effect. It's really cool. It's like a pseudo perm negate. So basically, all of them you can only special summon once per turn, obviously. So when your opponent special summons a monster, you can change their battle positions, and if you do, negate their effects. It's forever. So this card has incredible synergy with their quick play spell called Turnover Tactics. We'll get there when we get there, but basically this is one of the cards you want to summon off Turnover Tactics, because you will summon your monsters first, then your opponent will summon theirs, and you can use him to basically change their battle position and negate them. And because they're coming from the deck, obviously they're not link monsters, so it's going to be able to work. It's really, really cool. And continuing, I play a 1 Goalkeeper. This is just kind of one of those I need to stay alive plays. It's another way to end your board when you have like this and Perfect Ace, just to protect him. He makes sure that one of your guys just can't be destroyed, and it's a quick effect, so you can chain it to destruction cards, and just kind of, it saves your butt. And then I played 1 Mighty Slugger. This is probably one of the most ineffective of all the UAs. He just doesn't let your opponent activate anything when he swings. But honestly, when it comes up, it's clutch, but it's kind of, with the format, the way it's defined, this card's effect is not that great. I will say, if it said something like until the end of the battle phase, that'd be better, because then if he killed a Shaddoll, it wouldn't be able to get its effect from grave. But I'm pretty sure certain effects won't resolve because it's to the end of the damage step, but there are certain effects that still do resolve. So I kind of wish it just said, like, if it battles, your opponent can't activate anything to the end of battle phase or something. So it's okay, but when it comes up, it's definitely one of those clutch one-ups that you search off your field spell. So this is a going second build, so I do play 3 copies of Vishuda. Now Vishuda definitely hasn't seen play in going second lists in a while, but I think this card is actually really, really powerful. It's just one of those cards that just is solid against back row, it's solid against combo, it's always going to bait and negate no matter what, and you get a free body on field, so I really see no bad things about it. And what's really prominent with this deck is you want to commit your normal summon and make sure it's secure, so this can easily make sure that you clear those cards, pave the way so that you can normal summon without it getting interrupted. I play a couple of Kaijus, just the ones that I have. If I had, you know, like Gamma Seal, I only have 1, and that's inside my Christians. But if I had like triple Gamma Seal, I may play like 2 Gamma Seals or something. But these are just there kind of for right now. Obviously, there's synergy with Vishuda and Kaijus, so you want to make sure that your cards that you're playing are able to interact with each other and just have that multi-purpose, because you get Kaiju your opponent, bounce it Kaiju again. We played the 1 of Pancratops. The card's just nuts, you guys. He's easily taking care of multiple threats. You know, attack over Appaloosa effect to bait Mechaba, or you know, you play the Rock deck. You know, attack over Appaloosa effect to bait Borload Savage or anything of that nature. And then I play 2 DD Crows. This card is just one of the most impactful hand traps this format. I'm not really big on hand traps, but this is kind of one of those filler cards since I don't have Mystic Mines and I don't have all the going second cards that I would prefer. Like I said, I really don't feel comfortable playing evenly. But if I had all my Sky Striker cards, I would be playing double Afterburner, double Jamming Waves. I'd be playing, you know, Mystic Mine. I would just be playing it that way. But this is gonna sum up the monster count. I guess Rhoda can stay there for when we get to the spells. So for the spells, I'm playing 3 copies of UA Stadium. Now this is probably, outside of, I'd say, Foolish Barrel Goods, this is the most important spell in your deck. This is how you're able to grind. It has a cool effect too where it boosts all your monsters by 500 if you special a UA. So you can put Dreadnought Dunker to 3,000, equip him, then he'll be at 4,000 and he's doing double damage and he's attacking twice and he's popping cards. So that can be an OTK by itself. But UA Stadium, its best effect is to search a UA monster. That's what makes it so important. You're going to be pairing this with obviously the one of Terraforming. So yeah, 4 UA stadiums. You know, the road is there for the 4th midfielder. So basically you have 4 stadiums, 4 midfielders. If you open stadium midfielder, that is the 2 cards that you always want to have in your hand. So you can have 4 other board breaking cards like, you know, Dark Ruler, you could have Pankratops, Kaiju, Vishuda, and you can still set your board up optimal just off of midfielder in the field spell. It's good enough. And then we have 3 copies of Signing Bill. This is basically like a pseudo tour guide from the deck. It just special summons a UA from the deck. You really can't do XYZ summoning with it, and I'm pretty sure there's something else you can do. You can't synchro or XYZ with it, but linking's not a problem. Linking wasn't a thing when this deck came out. You do take damage based on its level, but what's more important is not only do you have 4 ways to basically get your midfielder in normal summon it, but you also have 3 additional ways to just special it out from your deck so that you can bounce it with the UA and then normal summon it to trigger the UA Stadium. So this is an alternative. So it's like you really do play 7 midfielders. And when you already have a midfielder, you can easily use this card to special summon out cards like Goalkeeper or, you know, Dreadnought Dunker, then normal your midfielder. And that way you really can get a lot of damage pushes out with that. So it's just a really, really strong card. I played 3 Foolish Barrel Goods. It's a utility card in this deck because their trap penalty box can add a UA spell or trap from deck to hand. This becomes a Rhoda basically for the deck. I also played 3 Pot of Desires. In going second decks, I feel that this is necessary if you can get away with it and your engine is strong enough to play it, because this will always either be negated or they'll regret not negating it because you're going to get a +1, and playing a going second deck, that means you're drawing more cards to break boards. So you're drawing more Kaijus, you're drawing into Dark Ruler no more. So it's guaranteed to bait something, even if it's just an Ash Blossom to get it out your way. So it's strong going first, it's strong going second. It just raises the ceiling of any deck that can play it. I do play 3 Call by the Graves just to secure my plays, and also going first, it's a great interruption as well. Just make sure that certain things resolve, and also it's incredible against Shaddolls and Salman Greats. I chose Dark Ruler over Evenly Matched because I can still go into my battle phase. Even if I can't do damage, I can easily just break their board under the Dark Ruler. So I like that because, like I said, you can use the battle phase to basically break boards, as I was saying, and I just value this more, and it's obviously this is harder to negate. It's much more difficult to play around, and I just like it that way. And for the UA 1-up spells, I play 1 Turnover Tactics and 1 Power Jersey. These are searchable. Penalty Box is kind of a package deal. It's just part of the UA. Its effect is kind of okay on field, but more importantly, its graveyard effect is incredible. But basically, Turnover Tax is the card I wanted to talk about with you guys. So if you control 2 UA monsters with different names, you shuffle as many monsters on the field as possible into the deck. Then use special UA monsters from your deck that have different names from each other up to the number of cards shuffle into the main deck, into your main deck. But those monsters can attack this turn. Then your opponent can special summon monsters from their deck up to the number of cards shuffled in their main. I want to really specify the main deck. So when you're using Turnover Tactics and you're baiting all these negates and you get out 2 UAs, you activate this, you spin back Herald of the Arclight, Dragite, Appaloosa, you know, things of that nature. You spin back the Shaddoll Fusions, the Mechaba, the Dweller, you know, the Oppo. You spin back the Salman Great Link monsters. You know, you spin back all these extra deck monsters because that's what all these decks are doing. They're extra deck reliant. You know, there's a few decks that might get a 1 or 2 cards to the main deck, but a vast majority of their board gets shuffled back and they get very little. It's like marginal diminishing value that they get, but you get all your abilities because you shuffle everything back to your main deck. And that's where the goal, not the goal, but that's where the blockbacker comes in, because you get to special first, so you special him out, and then whatever monsters your opponent specials, because he has a plural with the parentheses, it means if your opponent summons simultaneously, which this does let them summon simultaneously, he negates all their effects at the same time permanently and changes them to defense. So it levels out what could be a bad recursive drawback off this card. It could be something that could reward your opponent, and because it's a quick play, you can use it on your opponent's turn, so you can summon out Perfect Ace and the blockbacker so that you have an Omni negation and the monster negate to protect you, basically to make sure that that goes through. So it's also an interruption going first, but going second, you're just clearing boards. Like, you can do this in battle phase after you've like Dark Ruler no more and just like basically if you Dark Ruler no more and have Foolish Burial Goods, you can just break their whole board because you shuffle everything back and they can't respond because their monsters can't activate their effects, which is really cool. So it's a really cool interaction. It's like a 2-card OTK. I mean not OTK, but it's 2 cards that can break a board. Obviously you need UAs, but this is a UAs deck. It doesn't have a problem with getting its monsters out. And then 2 Imperms. Just as another hand trap that it's really impactful. It can't be called by the grave, and chain blocking is ineffective against it. I don't have every hand trap under the sun, but I do have 2 imperms. I got a couple crows and some Valors, and I'm making it do what it do. So for the extra, I play 1 monk, IP, Security or Dragon. This card's very, very nice for this deck. When you're summoning it using some of your like extender monsters like Vishuda and Kaijus, you basically can link into it, and you can just pop out more UAs, which is nice. I play all the Nightmares. This is a unicorn I don't have. I just find that these are just really, really strong. This is a good follow-up if you couldn't break the board completely. You could floodgate them out, especially if they don't have links. We have all the Topologics because they're incredible. The Borals that my deck is able to make. Oppo because you can make it on a good hand. And Abomination is really easy to make when you're link climbing with Nightmares, and you can finish picking the board apart. So under Dark Ruler, this is just going to break boards completely. And yeah, you guys, that is the deck profile. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. Hopefully, you know, you want to try out UAs. It's a really, really fun deck. Honestly, it's not to say it's bad. It's just people don't play it. It's like Battery Mans, you know. Like it's certain decks that they can be good. You know, people might think I'm crazy, but I've really broken a few decks that weren't good and showed you guys it's not the deck, it's the pilot. It honestly is. So I'm gonna say a quick prayer and I'm gonna get out of here. Our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, Jesus. Thy kingdom come, and thy will be done on earth just as it is in heaven. Please give us this day our daily bread, Lord, and please forgive us of our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, Father, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the glory, and the power forever. In the mighty name of Jesus, we pray. Thank you, Yahweh. Amen. All right, you guys, I'm going to get out of here. Peace out, y'all.